We are back. Market recap for what is today? It's a Monday. Monday 0203 2026. So let's just do this recap quickly, right? So yesterday, or basically like Sunday's opening, we had a large opening range gap. Let's just show down the daily, right? Let's get rid of all this. Alright, so this large opening range gap goes and then takes all one, two, three sell sides, right? So just the initial idea of it, and let's just draw this as a later on target sell side. The initial idea, alright, cool. If we open like this and then resume higher, so let me show you in like the lower time. So think about it. We open up this low and we are likely to resume higher. Why? Because this is how I see it, right? If we opened with this large opening range gap, right, and we were staying below midpoint, then yes, I expect us to run through this low and keep going lower, right? Leaving this new weekly opening gap unfilled for the week and heading lower. However, as you can see, we already went to the upper quadrant. What does that mean? That means like, hold on, we actually want to continue going back higher first, right? So think about this just as taking sell side, right? Took all the sell side, engineered lows by going to make this relative equal lows. So now, if we done the damage on the sell side, what's left? The buy side, right? Everybody that wanted to us to go lower, now let's take all the positions, then go lower, right? So that's my initial just thinking of like, okay, what the market is gonna do, right? We are likely to head higher. Why? Just previously on what I said, on top of that, there is the liquidity, right? If we're just looking at liquidities above us, we like in terms of just 930. Once we're at 930, we have two liquidities to the sell side, right? I'm talking just this day slash previous day, right? From New York, right? We have a London low and we have our initial sell side, right? For the New York session. That's it. In terms of buy side, we have the initial buy side, we have Asia buy side, we have the PM and the lunch, and on top of that, we have this part of the unfilled new weekly opening gap that we know that we went to the upper quadrant of it, right? So if we went to the upper quadrant of that, we're more likely to fill it than not, right? It's just what I've noticed, right? If we go to the upper quadrant, we're more likely. That's the same with um the opening range gap, whatever, right? Like most gaps, if we just head to the upper quadrant, we're more likely to fill it than not, right? So we have many reasons to go higher, and on top of that, on what do you call it? On Friday's target was these highs. Friday should have went to these highs, right? And it didn't. So that's in the back of my mind. So we have basically three, four reasons to go higher than lower, right? So the bias is bullish, right? I'm not even gonna look at the daily or the 4 hour or whatever. It doesn't matter. We're in some serious manipulation right now. I do not care about them PDA rates because we're running through everything, right? It doesn't matter. So if my initial is bias, right? And Monday, I'm like, okay, cool. How do I get on the move, right? I would like some. Let's just check discount, right? We already hit discount right there, and that was pre-session. But I would like that one 930. Well, this goes in again, right? Make sure this is out of the way. You know, stall for a bit, maybe stall for a 10, and this is how a typical day would run up, right? But this is just one of them profiles where Monday just opens up at 9:30 and just shoots up and it's never gonna come back down. You don't want to go against that bias most of the time until like maybe the final target is hit. Okay. So just seeing this at 9:30, 9:30 when you go turned off the PC. That's it. I'm done. There's no trades for the day. It's done. I already know the profile. and I know what most likely is gonna happen tomorrow. So I know the trading day is tomorrow. It's not today. This is just build the liquidity, go to the targets, blah blah blah. Prepare us for Tuesday and 4th, right? So I know there's no trades for today, right? But however, I was watching the market here and there, just like see what I can pick up, right? For these days, because if I miss this 9:30, right, I'm like I'm more likely not gonna trade, and I kind of want to see some ways if I have evals or something to like trade, right? Demo trade or something, just for practice reasons, I guess, right? So let's get rid of this. We know by this time we filled this nuclear opening gap, right? And I'll give you the only trade that was viable, I guess. Right? One sec. Alright, the only trade that was viable. So in the whole morning session, we go up, 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 right? And these are targets for tomorrow, right? These are not targets for today. So once we fill up, we do all this garbage, right? If we were gonna go down, we would have to go down on like lunch. And see, lunch did not go down, right? So the only trade that I kind of like is once we hit our highs for the day, right? Remember, these are for like Friday's targets. These were today's targets, right? Once we hit them and we visit a 15-minute fair value gap right here, let's just highlight it. Okay, nice. Right there, right? And as you can see, no bodies are on top. We're making relative equal highs, which means we're gonna take later within the day, right? But we are looking for retracement, right? Because now we hit this PD area, we took the highs. We're trying to go against the people that are like long and still, and just take sell side basically, so we can continue higher. So the only trade that I liked, or just what I'm seeing. So once we done that, right, and we start in our PM session right there. So PM opening range here right there, and think about this as just like we need a manipulation to distribute higher. Okay, so this manipulation run was the only thing that I liked. Um, we have this gap that was holding price, and technically it's two gaps, right? You can see that we inversed this first initially, but it's technically all the way down here. It's probably better seen in the 2 minute. Yeah, see, look at this 2 minute gap. So it is a 2 minute gap, right? So we need to get down below this, and we need to change the state delivery, right? So it's the CISD right there. So once we change the state delivery, don't need to close below, just touch that open price, right? Why is this the change of state? I'm not using any of these because this was the highest high. On top of that, let me just double check. I'm in 1251. We do have an SMP, right? So I could guess that without even checking. But we have this the SMT, right? Let's say we don't have the SMT, but that's just an additional confirmation. So now we're gonna look for a re-entry. I mean an entry into this inversion, right? I'm not gonna use the small one. I like to use the big one. So from here to here, anywhere after the change in state of delivery, and we're bearish for now, okay, is an entry. What makes sense? Just get rid of this. What makes sense to enter on this leg, right? So I would take the whole leg, right? I'm guessing like it went to OTE. That's how high it went to. Let's get OTE max. Let's overshoot it slightly. But what makes sense regardless is entering on this gap that's unfilled, right? Or if you just want to be sure, right? Enter on the low here because it is gonna depend. right? If you're gonna enter more contracts, so you're gonna enter here. Sometimes you might not get this fill. I'm telling you, get this fill. And stop loss would be above this, or enter above here with lower contracts. And if you want to guarantee a stop loss above that high, right? And what are you seeking in terms of this trade? So let's say it's a short position. Just say you went on the guaranteed entry, right? Stop loss above that high, I guess, right? And okay, what's the targets? Clearly, there's relative equal lows here that we can take. Right? But my rule is if I'm gonna go for relative equal lows, I'm looking for the gap behind it, right? I'm looking for internal liquidity. So I'm not gonna TP here. I don't see anything here. There's lows here, there's lows, and guess what? It's that gap right there. So that high of the gap would be the TP, right? You can see it hit it right there. It might not filled you, but of course you want it to get inside it, right? So you might take it a bit more. Anyway, that maybe to like the upper quadrant. Kind of garbage trade, but honestly, the one that I take is this, right? Because it doesn't need to go take that high. 61 points, so right? That's the only trade that I can see that's just makes sense to me, personally, right? Of course, you could take the long, right, to target the highs. Why? Because you have these, and on top of that, remember, like my targets, what should have went for Friday, is these highs, right there, and you can see that was the high for the day. And yeah, you could have taken longs, right, if you're fully confident that I was gonna do it today. I didn't know. I didn't really care. I wasn't gonna trade. This is not my trading. I was start trade much earlier. So yeah, that's just one little nice short for the day if you want to take it. Anyway, so get rid of all this garbage and just explain what actually. Oh, yes, we're taking this high, but remember, first of all, we've done it with a wick, slight wick. What does that mean? That means it's technically unfinished business, right? What makes me think it's unfinished business? I'm gonna take this high again. Yes, well, first of all, that we're taking it with such a slight wick. Second is, like I say, I'm looking for this gap. Right? I'm looking for this as the one to take us lower eventually. As we can see, we have not hit that. Right? We have not hit that. So, what does that make me think? Yeah, we have not hit that. Anyway, what does that make me think? Right? To me, this type of Mondays, regardless, most of the time, it's just a manipulation Monday that will go against on Tuesday, either to rebalance 50% of the range or completely take the low out of it, right? So we have them two scenarios. So that means Tuesday bias is bearish. How and why? Okay. Well, let's get rid of the buy side. Right. We know what we've done. Let's get rid of this. Just get rid of everything. Right. And we are looking at this gap tomorrow, basically. Right. That is not the gap. We are looking at this gap tomorrow, right? So if we're gonna take the gap, what does that mean? The market is closed, which means we're gonna take previous daily high. I do not expect us on tomorrow's Tuesday, if we're gonna take previous daily high, to take previous daily low. Right? I don't expect that. That's it could do it, but I'm talking about probabilities. So if I don't expect that, then what do I expect of price, right? If it's gonna seek this much higher, right? Like let's say midpoint on that gap. What does that reside with? Wasn't it all them lows that the price should have taken today? With that nice gap under, right? So that is initially my target for tomorrow's price action, right? Regardless if it's gonna run through this and take these lows or not, right? So as long as the market holds this span where it's gonna consolidate basically all the way and wait till 9:30 or around it or even visit this, then this is my target, right? So I would be looking for a short. It'll be somewhere here and just to there, right? That's all I care. That's all I want from a Tuesday. It could go lower or it could thingy. I could not care less, right? So yes, that's the bias, right? We're expecting the sweep on previous daily high to the midpoint of Monday's range. To take all the liquidities for all the people that have trailed their stop losses higher, right? And where they're gonna trail them, let's say if you entered like long here, logically you would have put it here for the day, right? Like if you I'm talking about genuine swing trading type of thing. Just do that, right? You wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't be like, alright, that's too far. Okay. But filling this gap basically for the hourly tomorrow is my target. And that all, remember, that all depends on us holding this gap, right? And basically sweeping it. We can't close above it and then expecting the same thing. No. And that also depends on the market holding this whole band, this whole range, basically throughout Asia and London and the start of New York, right? For us to launch down. So yeah, I think that's simply it really. That's the market recap. There's not much to explain. In terms of the whole like whatever market structure, I still expect lower prices, right? They made these relative equal lows. We have relative equal lows here and lower down there, going there Q. So I'm still overall bearish, and the only thing that's gonna let us know is, I guess, tomorrow's price action. So yeah. Anyway, that's the market recap. Peace out.